all, thank you all for joining us. And for those of you that may have registered for this for the date last Tuesday, thank you for being able to join again and sticking with us. Unfortunately, Dan was under the weather and he was gracious enough to reschedule this, and really thankful for him to be able to fit us in the week before Christmas and on somewhat short notice. So thank you to Dan. Couple quick housekeeping items. If you are unmuted, please mute yourself once we get started so that everyone can hear Dan and all the instructions he's giving without any feedback noise. And if you do have any questions, you can use the chat feature or hand raise feature if that's enabled, but certainly throw your questions in the chat and we'll kind of take some breaks and address them as we can. And I think without further ado, I'll do a quick introduction of myself and then Dan. So I am Pam Persichetti. I am the Alumni Engagement Officer at TCNJ. And this is an Industry Insiders webinar, a series that is brought to you through the Alumni Engagement Office. So this is a little different for me, hosting at night. We usually do these in the afternoon, but this is a cool one. We're really excited to have Dan with us doing a mixology webinar. It really fit in nicely, timing wise, right before the holidays. Dan Smith is an 03 grad, school business grad. He has been with Tito's Vodka for 13 years, and he is now the VP of Sales Southeast region. So he kind of has a wealth of knowledge of all things bar and cocktail related. So he's going to share a little bit about a lot with us. How to prepare the drinks, how to actually make the drinks, how to prepare and present the drinks, and kind of what you need to keep your bar freshly stocked. Like I said, good time of year to have that information in your back pocket. So Dan, thanks again for being with us. Thanks again for scheduling on short notice, and I'll turn it over to you to take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, a couple of things. First, nobody would have wanted to see me last Tuesday. It was ugly. You definitely would not want me up here in front of your screen the way I was feeling. So thank you for rescheduling. Two, I'm happy to do one of these during the day as well. I mean, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. So we could do the next one and maybe do a breakfast cocktail seminar. Happy to do it. But thank you very much, Pam and Missy and Steven, for inviting me to be here today. Very excited to get in front of all my distinguished alumni and talk about this very important topic, creating the perfect holiday cocktail. So I'm guessing that everybody on this call has probably had their fair share of cocktails on the Ewing campus, as did I the first couple of years that I was there. But tonight we're going to step up our quality a little bit. We're going to fine tune the craftiness and really distill a perfect holiday cocktail, because that's what it's all about these times of years. In my opinion, one of the best things about going out to a nice restaurant or going out to dinner is really getting that perfectly crafted cocktail. Usually, if you go to the right spot, there's a cocktail that pairs well with the appetizers or with the entrees, very similar to how you order your wine. And it's funny, over the course of the past couple of years during the pandemic, the entire cocktail landscape changed. So restaurants closed, as you know, but that didn't mean that people didn't still want those great cocktails. And you saw a rise of the home bartender, or the domestic mixologist, as we call them. And people really went deeper than they would normally go in terms of like creating that cocktail at home. Especially when things started to open up and you start to have people over and have some parties again, you started to see that holiday cocktail become you see advertisements about it, you see all kinds of like commercials on like digital commercials when you're on social media, all about creating the perfect cocktail. It almost took on this like real recipes type of scenario that you see with food out there. So it's exciting, but the saying, you only get one chance at a first impression. Same goes for you when you're a host of the holiday party and you hand somebody that perfectly well balanced, crafty cocktail, when they walk in the door. It just sets the tone for the night. So the same goes if it's a terrible cocktail, then it sets that tone as well. But the word mixology in general distills a certain level of intimidation in people. But when you break it down, it's really quite simple. It allows for a lot of creativity and autonomy. There's no perfect recipe to a cocktail. People ad lib and ad hoc it just how to whatever their taste profile is a lot of the times. And I'd say the key to really creating a perfect cocktail is balance and consistency. So those are the things that we're going to work on tonight. And again, it's simple. Once you get the hang of it, you start to understand, the give and the take in the mixology and what goes well together and how to pair. It really becomes simple to start like breaking off on your own and creating some really cool variation. So any questions before we dive into it? No, all good. Anybody, anything in the chat there, Pam?
There is now. No, we're all good.
All good. Okay, I'll take a quick second to thank my production assistant over here, my daughter Madison. Matt, come on over and wave, say hello. She's taking on a couple of roles here. She is handling all of the AV for me because I don't know how to do it, and she's also going to be our official taste tester and cocktail model here. So we'll have some fun with that as well.
I think we're going to get some questions on where we can get that sweater.
Yeah, they're awesome, right?
The best?
The ugly Christmas sweaters, they're fantastic. If you go into the liquor store right now, they're on all of our liter and 750 bottles. So we have like a bottle sweater, and then you can order a matching one online, and all the proceeds go to charity. So it's a pretty cool program. We've been running it for a couple of years. All right, so jumping in. So first, you need to make sure that you have the right gear. Decking out your bar gear is important. We joke, we say Picasso had his paintbrushes. Every good mixologist has the right tools. If you're going to create a great cocktail, you gotta have the right equipment. So we'll start with the shaker. There's a couple variations of the shaker here. Both James Bond and Dan Smith like their martini shaken, not stirred. So these are crucial if you're going to be shaking a cocktail and pouring it up into a martini glass. There's a couple different kinds. This is the tumbler shaker. Pretty versatile. We're going to use this for a cocktail tonight as well. And then you got two cocktail shakers that are just two different sizes here. There's all kinds of variations. I mean, you can order, some higher end stuff online. We sell some on our website if you want the copper, logo stuff. Or, I mean, you could go to Marshall's and Home Goods and find, all different kinds of shakers. But it's important to have a good shaker. Next, probably the most important thing after the shaker is the jigger. It's basically a fancy word for a small measuring cup, but this is the key to consistency and balance. If you don't have one, get one. They're usually double-sided. It's 1 ounce on the small side and 2 ounces on the large. The standard pour for a cocktail in a restaurant is 1.5 ounces. So you would, basically do like a 1.5 pour on the small side. But when you're making it at home, you can kind of throw standards out the window and just go with the double and do a 2 ouncer. It will get you there quicker. Next up is the mixing spoon. So if you're not shaking, you're stirred. This is for when you want to mix your cocktail in the glass that you're going to be serving it in. So again, it comes in handy with a lot of whiskey cocktails, a lot of cocktails that maybe don't need to be shaken because you don't want them ice cold, but you just want them chilled, or something where you just really need to blend it, but you don't want to disturb sort of like the look of the cocktail, if you will, like if you build it into the glass. So important to have a nice long mixing spoon because a lot of the tumbler shakers are pretty deep. So you want something that's going to go in there and not get your hands on it. Next, the muddler. Muddler is a really great way to spice up like a simple classic cocktail. So we'll be muddling, besides the espresso martini, we're gonna do a couple other cocktails tonight, but muddling is a simple way to spice up a lemonade or a mule or even like a seltzer, which we're gonna show later tonight. But it's good to have one of these, and you can do just about anything, or you can mix up just about any cocktail with a good muddler. Next, you're going to want to have a strainer. So strainer fits pretty good right on top of these tumbler shakers. Good for pouring onto like a rocks glass or into a glass that you're going to build a cocktail in. It's also pretty good if you're going to be doing any holiday shots. Last but not least, you're going to want a fruit press. This is the small one that you can buy at the grocery store. It does lemons, limes, oranges. You can get those bigger tabletop ones too that are fun for making like orange crush cocktails and stuff like that. And then I like to have a couple other things. A zester is a lot of fun. You can do a lot of interesting garnishes and stuff with the zester. And then you're going to want to keep back there. a vegetable fruit peel, good for garnishes as well. And then you just want like a little, some sort of a little cutting board and a knife for, again, garnishing. So those are the majority of the items that you really need to build a great cocktail. And if there's no questions on bar gear, then we can jump into some glassware next. Anything pop up there? No, good.
Anything?
Just tell me if I'm going too fast here. Glassware is great. You can have a lot of fun with glassware. These days, your cocktails need to be gram worthy. So, having the right cocktail glass plays a huge role in that. There's a lot of fun cocktail glasses out there. I chose 4 tonight because we're talking about holiday cocktails. So I tried to pick some stuff that you can make simple holiday cocktails in that are going to have a really nice presentation, look good on social media, but also taste good. So I think first up here is everybody knows the martini glass. Martini glass is great for dirty martinis, espresso martinis that we're going to build tonight. Cosmos, lemon drops, there's Manhattans, all kinds of cocktails are done in a martini glass. Usually served up. It's rare that you get a martini glass with any ice in it because it spills all over the place. But this is a very special type of martini glass. It's called a coupe. It's my favorite martini glass. I think it looks the best to me when you're making an espresso martini. It's just got a really good presentation. If you have a minute, this cocktail glass has a racy origin, so you can look it up. There's some allure to its origin story, but it's fun. Next up, I'd say, is the copper mug. The copper mug had a pretty rapid rise to fame over the last couple of years. The Moscow Mule, or American Mule as we call it when you make it with Tito's, rose to the second best selling cocktail on a cocktail menu over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. They're made in a copper mug, but the Mule cocktail itself is Tito's, ginger beer, and a squeeze of lime. Pretty simple, but that's one of those cocktails that you can really dress up or dress down and have some fun with. And we'll be talking about a cool Mule cocktail that you can use during the holiday parties in a little bit. Next is your low ball or your rocks glass. This gets its name because it's primarily used for whiskey on the rocks, or now you get a lot of people drinking tequila or vodka on the rocks with a twist or something like that. So most bars and houses have some version of this glass. It's an easy one. A lot of times you're going to build your cocktail in this glass because it does have a nice presentation to it. But this is pretty versatile cocktail glass there. And then last but not least is your champagne flute. Sparkling cocktails are all the rage right now. And also, very, very a perfect fit for any kind of cocktail party. So I saw somebody wrote into Pam earlier asking, is there any cocktails that I could do for a Christmas breakfast outside of the mimosa? The mimosa, everybody knows that it's usually served in a champagne flute. There's a couple of variations of the mimosa that are fun, and we'll talk about sparkling cocktails tonight as well. So I'm sorry, Pam, did you say something?
No, I think that was just a guess that was unmuted. All good.
Got it. Okay. Any questions about bar gear or glassware? All good? Matt, good?
All good.
Okay. All right. So we've got the bar gear, we've got the glassware. Next, you want to talk about ingredients. So same as when you cook, quality is key. Definitely spend the money, buy the higher quality liquors, buy the higher quality mixers. You want to start with a good base, and that'll create a great cocktail. So of course, we'll start with what I consider to be the best vodka ever distilled, Tito's handmade vodka. I'll give you the quick commercial version of the story here, but a lot of people think Tito's was an overnight success. We sold our first bottle in 1997, so we are actually celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. People don't know that there is a man behind the brand. So our owner and master distiller is his name's Bert Butler Beveridge. His grandmother called him Bertito, and it just got shortened to Tito. And if you ask him, he says that he didn't know that his name wasn't Tito until he was in about 5th grade. But he was a geologist and geophysicist by trade. He worked on oil rigs for a good portion of his life, and he used to make vodka for his friends for birthdays and Christmas parties. He came home late one night after a keg party, and PBS was on TV, and Tony Robbins was on there talking about, how you find your meaning and passion in life. And they said, if you want to know, what your career path should be, take a piece of paper out, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write everything that you're good at. On the other side, write everything that you love to do. Study it, build a career around that. And if it's a mix of what you're good at and what you love to do, then you'll never truly work a day in your life. So Tito took that to heart, on the side of things that he was good at. He was good at math, he was good at science, he was good at tinkering, he was good at creating. He comes from a long lineage of entrepreneurs. He's good at making things. On the side of what he likes to do, he likes to go to bars, he likes to hang out and talk to girls, he likes to be in air conditioning, he likes to travel, he likes to stay in hotels. So he's looking at this thing and he's like, I make vodka for my buddies. He's like, I enjoy that. It takes a lot of math and science. I enjoy being in bars and hotels and restaurants and talking to people and being in air conditioning and all these things are on the list of things that he loves to do. And he's like, man, I got to get into the liquor industry. So this is the early 90s. He had a liquor store clerk in Texas tell him, if you want to be successful in the vodka business, you got to make a product that a woman can drink straight. And he took that to heart and really set out to find, at the time, that the female palate was a little bit sweeter than the male palate. So he really wanted to find a product that had a good sweet finish on it that would also make it pretty mixable. So at that time, most vodkas were made from either potato or wheat. He went through a slew of different products or different base products to try to figure out what worked the best, and landed on corn. Corn's got a little bit of a higher residual sugar rate. It definitely gives that like sweet finish on it. And if you're a Tito's drinker and you drank it straight, that it has that like smooth, kind of crisp, citrusy, sweet finish to it. Best way to taste vodkas competitively against each other is warm and side by side. No chasers, no ice, no mixing it up, no keeping it in the freezer. You go side by side warm, and you can really get a lot of like the nuances. By definition, vodka is supposed to be tasteless, colorless, odorless, neutral spirit, but whatever the base mash is, and sort of the process to make the vodka, it changes the taste profile on the end there. So for anybody that's interested in the differences between vodkas, you can certainly ask me any questions you want tonight. But I would suggest taking whatever, the few brands that you think are the smoothest and doing a little side-by-side comparison. It's eye-opening when you actually do it warm like that. Point of differentiation for us as a brand, and you'll read a lot about this when you look into whiskeys and single malt scotches and bourbons and stuff like that. But most vodkas out there are column distilled. So column distillation is basically you take all your raw materials, you put them in a big column, goes through all these distillation plates, and it pops out ethanol alcohol. It's like 195 proof, and then you water it down, you bottle it, and you make it, you make vodka. We are copper pot distilled. So again, it's similar to like small batch, esoteric spirits, single malt, stuff like that. And it's basically a big copper kettle pot that we heat the vodka up. We make the mash spirit, and we cook it in this huge kettle, heat it up, and it's a separation. It's an extra separation step, which is what's really important to our process. So it leaves all the like heavy impurities, and we call them fusel oils, but basically the bad stuff stays at the bottom. The good stuff turns into steam, and then goes through these like cooling coils, and you're left with the heart of the distillate, or the good stuff, the gold. And you'll see like in our logo that pot still is right front and center. That's pretty proud of that, and it's again a big differentiation point for who we are as a brand. So all right, enough of the Tito's commercial. Aside from choosing a great vodka, you're going to want to choose great mixers. There's been a big rise in low alc and non-alc mocktails lately. So because of that, there is a ton of awesome mixers out there. You used to be pretty slim pickings. You get your Schweppes Club Soda and some ginger ale, and especially when you go into like your local bar, they didn't have many choices. Now Fever Tree is an awesome brand out there. There's Owens mixers. You got Q Tonics out there. There's some really, really good stuff and they put out a great product. So do your homework, depending on what kind of cocktail you want to build there. Make sure you're buying good base spirits, and also good mixers. Next you want to always choose fresh fruit over processed. If you're gonna if you need orange juice or you need lemonade, it's very simple to just squeeze some fresh lemons and simple syrup, or squeeze a fresh orange into a cocktail as opposed to using like a cheap orange liqueur or anything like that. When it comes to liqueurs, opt for the higher ones, the higher quality ones. Use Cointreau instead of triple sec. Tonight we're using coffee liqueur. Most people would grab Kahlua. I like this Mr. Black coffee liqueur. I just think it's got a better taste to it. It's less syrupy, more coffee, more of a coffee taste to it. And then lastly, never underestimate the power of a great garnish. Blue cheese stuffed olives are a mainstay if you're a dirty martini drinker. You could do lemon twists and lime wheels. Tonight we've got some cranberries, and we've got for our espresso martini, 3 espresso beans will do it. You'll see it's a great presentation. But the garnish is a big part of that like Instagrammable moment with a lot of these cocktails. So spring for the good mixers, buy the good liquor, and make sure that you plan out your garnish well. If you're doing like a bulk cocktail and you're gonna batch it up for a big party, you can get some really simple garnishes out there that really look awesome. And we'll talk about that when we do the mule. So, all right, we've got glassware, we've got bar gear, we talked through ingredients. Any questions before we get going on building our first cocktail? And I can't see anybody, so if there is, just speak up.
Giving it a second here. I don't see anything in the chat. All right, I think they're ready to roll into
All
it.
Tracy did say, I didn't get my Tito's gift basket for the night or my sweater for attending. LOL, just kidding.
Yes, we lied, Tracy, just to get you here. But you can buy all of that at www.titos.com. All right, so before we get to the main event, I figure we could bang out a few easy cocktails that are awesome for the holidays. So I talked about the mule. We'll start there. So again, a regular American mule is just Tito's, ginger beer, and a squeeze of lime. So one good variation on that, and this is the cocktail that we'll build in our copper mug. But one good variation of that is one that we call the Yule Mule. And it's very simple. It's Tito's, ginger beer, splash of cranberry juice to give it, just a red color and a little bit of tartness. Squeeze a lime, so we got to cut some lime here, and then we garnish it with cranberries. So you buy this bag of like fresh cranberries, they float to the top of any cocktail, and they give it a really good look. And I usually like to finish it off with a cinnamon stick. So we'll make this real quick here. Got myself a piece of lime, but Tito's go like 1.5 ounces on average there. Ginger beer, here. I do these store and pours all the time for like cranberry and simple syrup and stuff. It's just like easy because most of the time you're only using a splash. Now we always have it in your refrigerator. So a little squeeze of cranberry there, and then we will float, squeeze our lime, and then we will float a bunch of these cranberries on top, and they're cheap and they just look so awesome, and has like such a wow effect when you actually deliver the cocktail. Cinnamon stick for flavor. And Matt, you want to show this one to the camera over there? But it's again, a simple way you can buy these copper mugs just about anywhere these days. It's a delicious cocktail. It's got like
little higher. Oops, sorry, a little higher.
Oh no, I can't really see. Sorry. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So it's got a really good look to it. It looks very festive. Looks very holidays. It's got like a sweetness, but also a little bit of a bittery taste to the ginger beer. Obviously, you can look up there. Yeah, obviously the cranberry's got like a tartness to it, and then the lime balances it out well with citrus. Super simple. You like it?
Yeah.
All right, she gave me the thumbs up over there. So very simple cocktail, and again, that's something that you can batch up. I actually batched them up for a friend for a party tonight across the street. We did a big infusion jar of them, made like 2 gallons. It's just something that's easy to do for the masses. Any questions there? Nope, good. Okay, next we will do a French 75. So that's a really great sparkling cocktail. Historically, a French 75 is a gin cocktail, but again, I think the best way to have some fun with mixology is to take classics and put your own spin on them. So French 75, easy cocktail, but there's a couple steps here. So you're going to make the first part of it in one of your shakers. And then you are going to finish the cocktail in your champagne flute. So it's tough to mix a cocktail in there, especially once you put the champagne in, you can't really do anything because if you agitate it, it just kind of boils over the top. But cocktail is easy, right? So it is a 1.5 ounce pour of Tito's. So again, we'll use the jigger here. We'll do 1.5 ounces. It is the squeeze of 1/2 of a lemon. So cut your lemon in half, pop it right here in your trusty fruit squeezer. Squeeze the 1/2 of the lemon. Nice and easy. Then it is 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Simple syrup is another really great thing to keep in your refrigerator. I'll give you a little pro tip on simple syrup in a minute. So that's it that you're putting in the cocktail here. You put a little, or the cocktail shaker, you put a little bit of ice in there. Shake it up because you're always going to want to serve this filled. You don't really put ice in your champagne flute ever. So shake that up. Pour your cocktail there. I think if you're mixing, no point in wasting the money on champagne. You can get Prosecco, relatively inexpensive. So I've got a Lunetta Prosecco here. Fill that up there. To the top, let it bubble over a little bit for dramatic effect if you got a rubber mat. And then lastly, just take your fruit peeler, take a little peel here. You want to get the rind, but you don't want to get the pith underneath of it because that's like the bitter taste. So shave off a nice big chunk here and just kind of pop it in there and float it, and it's got a really good look to it. Matt, would you mind sampling that and showing the group? Easy cocktail to make, not one that you would want to batch, but definitely one that is simple and has a good wow effect. Everybody loves a sparkling cocktail, especially for like cocktail parties, like smaller cocktail parties when you can like get in there and make up a bunch of them as people are walking in. Any question on the sparkling?
Someone said, oh, no, just pictures for after.
Oh yeah,
That was just me.
no problem. Okay.
What is the name? I'm sorry. Someone asked what the name of I think the sparkling drink you just made. I guess French 75.
Yeah, French 75. So again, it's historically a gin cocktail. So most of the recipes that you find will use gin for it, but gin and vodka are pretty interchangeable. Popular drinks like a bee's knees or a French 75 or a Vesper, all are interchangeable with vodka and gin. Just gin, you get that like little bit of juniper-y taste, if that's a word to it. Whereas vodka, you get like more of like a smoother, crisp kind of like citrusy taste to the finish. Cool.
Good.
All right. So I said I was going to talk about simple syrup. So simple syrup is great. It's called simple syrup because it's really simple to make. I'm sure everyone knows how to make it, but it's equal parts sugar and boiled water. I cheat. I put a cup of water in a Pyrex and I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then I pour in a cup of sugar and stir it till it's clear. It's pretty simple. But one easy way to make like some fun cocktail variations is flavored simple syrups. And you can make them right on your stovetop. You do a couple cups of water, equal amounts of sugar, and then you can boil in other flavors. So you could boil in lemon rinds and jalapeno, and then you have this like lemon jalapeno simple syrup that would be great for a margarita. You could boil in ginger, and you could use it to make sparkling ginger cocktails, so you don't have to use ginger beer and have double the suds in there. But there's a lot of good uses for simple syrup, and it's a way where you can like just buy these things on Amazon. I think they're like $1 a piece, and you just put a piece of tape on them and label them. I had like orange rind ones, lemon rind ones. We did plums, we did peaches. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff in it, and it's just a simple way to spice up any kind of a cocktail. So that's an easy one. All right, the next cocktail that I wanted to do was, I'm sure you guys have all seen it out there. The spiked seltzers are a huge huge phenomenon right now. White Claw, Truly, High Noon. People are drinking these spiked seltzers that have fun, fruity flavor profiles. For me, I'm purist. I believe that if you want an orange flavored vodka and seltzer, make a vodka and seltzer and squeeze an orange in it. Call me crazy, call me old school, but that's the way I like to do it. But seltzer cocktails are a fun way to like mess with the muddler and kind of achieve the same goal. So one of the most popular ones out there is strawberry lemonade seltzer. I think High Noon does one. I think Truly does one. Svedka might do one. There's a couple of brands out there, but again, for people that enjoy a freshly made cocktail, you can get that same effect pretty easily. So what we're going to do tonight is strawberry lemonade, Tito's strawberry lemonade seltzer. I got some cut strawberries here. I'm going to throw there's really no rule here, but I'm going to throw 4 or 5 little slivers in there. Take a slice of lemon. You don't need much. Lemon's pretty powerful, so it's got a good flavor profile in there. You just put them in your tumbler shaker and muddle it. Pretty simple. You want to squeeze it enough where you're getting all the juices out of the lemon, and you want to kind of pulverize the strawberry because it'll mix in really well. You could take the rind off of the lemon if you wanted to and really mix it all in, but I think having it look a little bit messy is actually part of the allure when you actually pour it into your cocktail. So you muddle those together, and then you simply make Tito's and soda. Throw some ice in here. We'll give it a good healthy pour of Tito's. I like about a 2-ouncer there. Pour in a little bit of club soda here. And then we get to use our mixing spoon. So again, once you put club soda or champagne or anything that's carbonated, even ginger beer into the shaker, you don't really want to put a top on it and shake it because it's going to spray out everywhere on you. I'm sure you guys have all made that mistake before. I know I have. We mix this up here and then simply pour it right into your rocks glass. Got lucky there with a perfect pour, and then you can make some sort of a garnish for it. I like just a simple lemon rind, and you just kind of lay it right on top like that, and there you go. You got a Tito's strawberry lemonade spiked seltzer, freshly made.
I was so excited for this one. I don't know. Can you guys see it? Yeah.
Yep. Maybe, well, I don't want you to tilt it and spill it, but.
Nice and simple. She'll just drink them in front of you guys and make everybody jealous. All right, so that's again a nice easy one. You could do a million different variations of that. So you could do blueberry, do raspberries, you do basically anything that you can muddle in the bottom of a mixer. You're good to go. Sky's the limit. Again, it's all about kind of being creative and having fun and just kind of figuring it out as you go. So before we get into the main event, the espresso martini, my personal favorite cocktail. Any questions on the 3 cocktails we just did, or anything on or anything that we went over so far?
Deb wants to know how she can apply for my job.
For Maddie's job? Yeah, it's a good one. It's tough. She's gonna be.
Deb, it's hard to come by.
It is. She's gonna be holding that position for a while.
I'm never letting go of it. Other than that, you're all good.
Good to go?
Yep.
All right, so espresso martini. Coffee in general has never been hotter, pun intended. It is, I mean, you see it everywhere. There's all kinds of different coffee shops popping up. My personal favorite's La Colombe. My wife says I'm not bougie about anything except for my coffee. She's probably right. But really, you can pick any great coffee or great espresso to start with. If you're using coffee, you're going to want to make sure it's really strong. But the easiest way is to just pick your favorite espresso and start there. The espresso martini itself recently, I think within the last 2 months, has just cracked the top 10 cocktails, the top 10 cocktails in the US. So still margarita's #1. I told you earlier, the mule slid into the #2 spot. The Bloody Mary's #3. Then there's like a handful of cocktails. There's like a straight up martini. a couple of other like funky ones in there, and then espresso martinis made it in as number 10. So this cocktail's taken off in the past few years. To me, it's really all about presentation. The espresso martini is one of those drinks that if you're sitting at a bar or restaurant and you see one go out and it's made correctly and it has, you know, that right Instagrammable moment, like we talked about earlier, it has an effect on people around them. It's got that ripple effect. People are like, what is he drinking? I want one of those. What is she drinking? I want one of those. I've been in the bar a couple of times where, you know, I order one and I'm sitting there, I take a sip and I'm talking to the bartender, the person next to me asks for one, person next to me asks for one, next thing you know, I'm ordering like 25 espresso martinis. It's like it happens quick, it gets out of control, but they're so delicious. Very simple to make, but we talked earlier about balance and consistency. This is one of those drinks that needs to be balanced well. If you don't, it's going to be too sweet or it's going to be too bitter, and either one doesn't taste very good. So we talked about the ingredients that we're going to use tonight. Obviously Tito's. I said I'm going to use Mr. Black instead of Kahlua. We're going to use simple syrup, and then I just brewed up some La Colombe espresso earlier today. Best if you know you're going to have, you know, a handful of people over, you want to make a bunch of that in advance because you don't really want to make it hot, or you don't want to make the cocktail while the espresso is hot. You want to give it a chance to cool off if possible. You can, but as soon as you put hot espresso in a shaker, it's going to melt your ice and it's going to water down your cocktail a little bit. So if you want to keep the majority of your booze in your drink, you will chill your espresso before people get to your party. So we're going to build it in a cocktail shaker. Pretty simple. I sent you guys a recipe earlier. I might make a small variation on there, just from the way that I personally like to drink it. I'm in equal parts Tito's and espresso. So I use my jigger here. We'll do a 2-ounce pour of Tito's. Then we'll do a 2-ounce pour of espresso. And then what some people will do both the coffee liqueur and simple syrup. Some don't like it as sweet and may just choose to do the coffee liqueur and not the simple syrup. But I personally like both. So I am going to do a 1/2 ounce of coffee liqueur and a 1/2 ounce of the simple syrup. Now, I'm not a creamy drink guy. Some people are, so you could forego the simple syrup and do like a Bailey's or a Frangelica or something that's going to give it more of that like creamy, almost like a chocolate martini look. Just be careful not to use both the simple syrup and the Bailey's, or it's going to be way too sweet. So anyways, we built our cocktail in here. I went equal parts Tito's and espresso. Did a 1/2 ounce of Mr. Black coffee liqueur and a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Cocktail's built. Want to add the ice. Now you want to add a decent amount of ice for this because part of the sizzle here is getting that like foamy top, and you're going to want to really agitate the cocktail. So make sure your cocktail shaker is sealed, and then you really want to give it a good shake. You can't shake one of these enough. All right, so it's nice and shaken. Get my coupe glass. See how we did. So usually it's going to come out. Very foamy at first, and then you'll start to see all of the foam settle on the top as you shake it here. The ice should be pretty close to a perfect pour there. Yes, there we go. So you'll start to see the cocktail when Madison brings it over, it'll like darken up on the bottom and keep that nice like froth on the top. I think that the simplest and best garnish here is 3 little espresso beans. Just popped it on top. Why not 2? Why not 4? I don't know. I think 3 looks the best. But there you have it. Simple to make espresso martini that wows your guests at every turn. And Maddie will give you a good view of it there. Pam, let us know if you can see it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That looks so good.
It is ridiculous. So after you sip it, kind of hold it from the bottom so you can see the difference in the dark and the foam there. So to me, that is like a perfectly made espresso martini. Again, some people like that creamier version, there's a whole bunch of variations that you could do there. You could add a little bit of, what some people do is they'll break candy canes and boil them in with our simple syrup to give like a peppermint simple syrup, and then garnish it with like a mini candy cane, great for the holidays. Some people do one of the red and white Hershey Kisses on top, as a finish. Yeah, you could do an espresso or a chocolate rubbed rim around the top of the glass. That's really easy. If you're gonna rim an espresso martini, you usually will just you pour a little bit of simple syrup on a plate, and you'll dip your cup upside down in the simple syrup, and then just roll it in either espresso, ground espresso, or in like chocolate shavings or something like that. If you're gonna rim like a margarita or something like that, you can just use lemon or lime to rim the side of the glass, and then roll in whatever you're gonna rim the glass in. But I mean, this one is like I said, a crowd pleaser. You can never go wrong with the espresso martini. Your party's probably gonna last a little bit longer than you initially planned if you drink enough of them, but it's a good problem to have in the holidays.
Kate said, I guess she's making them with us.
Yes.
She said that she didn't get the foam very well. Side comment, I'll just have to keep practicing and drink them all.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
any
Do you have-
tips for
Yeah,
the
do you have any
foam?
tips for
I
that?
do. So Kate, you need to shake the shit out of that cocktail. Like, you fill it with ice, you batch it in, you fill it with ice afterwards. And I mean, I shook that thing really hard. You really got to shake it hard. And the harder you shake it, the more of that like foamy finish that you're going to get on the finished cocktail there. A lot of people have that exact same issue the first couple times they make it, and it's really just practice makes perfect.
Or she can just keep messing up and keep drinking them.
Right, or it's an excuse to have to drink 11 espresso martinis tonight and never go to sleep.
Deb said, can you use instant espresso, which I have had for baking? Would it have the same taste?
I've never used instant espresso. I have used like you can buy cold brew concentrate espresso from Whole Foods or Wegmans. I've used that. It's pretty good. But again, when it comes to cocktails, you think of it like you do for cooking. The fresher the better. I'm sure it'll taste good, but probably not as good as fresh espresso. Those are questions?
Yeah, for now. Thank you.
I'll take a sip of this. It's like staring me in the face. It is my favorite cocktail.
Dan, after you finish that sip, what was the name of the espresso that you suggest that you are bougie about?
I use La Colombe. I use I don't know how to pronounce it, pylon a lot. Like I think that's the Cuban one. That's a good one that you can get at just about any store. The La Colombe espresso you can find usually at specialty stores. I know they have it at Wegmans. I know they have it at Whole Foods. But to me, that's the best.
And also order off of Amazon.
What's that? Oh yeah, you can order it off of Amazon as well. Yep. I'll usually do mine in like a Bialetti on the stove and just make I think it makes like 6 ounces at a time. So I'll make like a couple batches before anybody gets there, because you're really only using 2 ounces of espresso for each cocktail. So if you make 12, 24 ounces something, you can get a decent amount of cocktails out of that.
Tracy said, what is your favorite drink that you make with Tito's? But question about the espresso
Yeah.
before was, how do you spell that? I think
La
Colombe.
La Colombe, yes, LA and COLOMBE, I believe. My favorite cocktail, I'm a simple guy. I drink Tito's and soda with an orange and a lime slice. It's refreshing. Again, with the Tito's being made from corn, you do get that like sweeter, citrusy kind of finish. So it just pairs very well with oranges and limes, in my opinion. So that's my go-to. My next 2 favorite cocktails are probably the espresso martini and a dirty martini with blue cheese stuffed olives. Again, when you're drinking like a quality brand like Tito's, you can do it straight or dirty and really have a good finished product there. Whereas like if you're buying something that's a little less expensive or a little less quality, you may want to drink that straight, maybe more of like a mixer. That's it. Any more questions?
No,
Yeah.
I guess no questions. Everyone's busy drinking their
All right,
drinks.
good. Hopefully everyone's drinking and enjoying themselves. Listen, we talked about glassware. We talked about equipment. We talked about making sure that we have the right ingredients. We talk about balance and consistency, and that being really the keys to success on making a good cocktail. But if you take nothing else from this, please just take away the fact that mixology should be fun. Explore, be creative, buy some funky stuff and give it a shot. There's no real right or wrong answer. I like to always say that if you like it, your friends will probably like it too. So find something that works for you, build a great cocktail, and then try it out on your friends. People love to be cocktail guinea pigs, as my daughter showed you tonight. She is 21, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering.
For the
Oh
record,
my
right?
God, could you
This
imagine?
is-
Recently, yeah, could you imagine? Yes.
Very
That's how it
recently.
was my job. I have a 17-year-old up here tasting cocktails.
This is being recorded, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Deb-
yeah. Disclaimer. Just said that
Deb,
at
would
the
you mind showing us some of the cocktails you made? Do you mind if I highlight your video?
Yeah, I'm gonna walk over and check it out.
Deb and friends.
Over here.
They might be too busy enjoying themselves. If anybody wants to show off their drink, I know a lot of people don't have their cameras on, but feel free. And I also made a plug in the chat, but I'll reiterate, send pictures to my email address that I put in the chat. I'd love to highlight your finished products on our social media.
Yeah, Maddie's gonna take some pictures of the cocktails now. I'll have her mail them to you or email them to you, Pam.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, again, have fun with it, be creative. If you guys come up with anything cool, please email it to me. We're always looking for the next hot cocktail to put on menus. My boss has started a trend recently. He's doing a bruised cucumber in the bottom of a wine glass and Tito's and soda with a squeeze of lime. And it's fantastic. He's calling it spa water. So it's starting to catch on. He lives in South Florida, and he's out and about a decent amount, and you're starting to see Tito's spa waters pop up on menus. So you never know what the next hot one's going to be. If you guys have something, we'd love to promote it.
Tito's spa water.
Yeah, spa water. I know, it's great. It's a great name. And I was making fun of them too, and I tried one. It's pretty good.
Well, that'll be trending just in time for springtime.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not really a holiday. I guess it's only a holiday cocktail if you live in Miami. But thank you. Again, this is great. It's fun to be in front of everybody. If you like this one, tune in for some of the other classes that they're going to be doing or workshops. Pretty excited to check them out myself. But I had a good time here tonight. I'm going to have a better time when I turn off the camera and we drink all these drinks. My daughter's hiding in the corner, chugging the mule right now. But this is great. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Pam, I guess you'll share my email and cell phone number.
Yep, I will send a follow-up email to everyone that was a registrant, and we'll add the tips and tricks and some of the ingredients, some of your suggested mixers and brands and things that you prefer. I'll send that over in a nice kind of summarized one-sheeter to everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, and again, like if anybody has any questions that they like, specific questions about what they're making or want some help with something, I'm happy to help. Reach out. We've got a great database of cocktails. If you're doing any kind of a special event or something like that, happy to share them.
Dan, thank you so much. Thanks for doing this. Again, it was kind of a quick turnaround that you rescheduled, so we really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
It was my fault. Sorry, I had to reschedule on you guys.
No, well, no one's fault. No one chooses to get sick. But thank you, and your setup is beautiful. So thanks for the awesome presentation.
I said I might leave this here. This is my office, but I'm thinking about leaving this bar set up.
It's beautiful. I would.
I don't hate it. Little Tito's test kitchen.
Test kitchen.
They're all saying thank you and that they'll make it on their New Year's party.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Well, again, I'd love to see some pictures on how they turn out. And if you come up with anything fun or a variation, please share it.
Yes, ditto. Please share. Dan, thanks so much. Everyone have a great holiday season. Stay safe, you guys.
Thank you.